Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to give you that essential shortcut to being well-informed.
That's right. We pull out the core ideas from important sources.
And this Deep Dive is brought to you by BookCast FM, bringing books to life one cast at a time.
Glad to be here.
Today, we are cracking open a really influential management guide. It's Kim Scott's Radical Candor. Be a kick-ass boss without losing your humanity.
Oh yeah, this one's huge. You hear it referenced everywhere. Silicon Valley, HR circles. It's definitely made an impact.
It really has.
So our mission today, to really distill the core philosophy, and maybe more importantly, the actionable framework Scott lays out. She learned this stuff at Google, at Apple.
High-pressure environments.
Exactly. And she basically promises this path, right? How to be effective, demanding even, but still be, well, human about it.
Okay, kick-ass boss without losing your humanity. It sounds great, but also kind of tricky. There's a tension there.
Absolutely. The whole book hinges on navigating that tension. It boils down to one core balance. It's the balance between empathy and honesty. Scott calls it radical candor. The ability to care personally while you challenge directly.
Care personally, challenge directly, both at the same time.
Yes. It means your feedback isn't just, nice, and it isn't just blunt truth either. It has to be both kind and clear.
So the caring part builds the trust.
And the challenging part, that drives the growth. You need both.
And she uses a framework to visualize this, right? The quadrant.
Yeah, the 2x2 radical candor quadrant. Super helpful visual. You've got care personally on the vertical axis and challenge directly on the horizontal.
Okay, let's dive into those 4 boxes. What styles emerge?
Well, if you picture that grid, the top right corner, that's the goal. High care, high challenge. That's radical candor.
The sweet spot.
Exactly. That's where trust gets built and where people actually improve because they know you've got their back, but you're also pushing them, like saying, hey, I believe you can do better. Let's figure out how.
Okay, so that's the ideal. But where do managers often end up by mistake? Maybe trying to be too nice.
Yeah. That lands you in ruinous empathy. Bottom right quadrant.
High care, low challenge.
Right. You genuinely like the person, you care about their feelings, so you avoid the difficult feedback. You don't want to hurt them or make things awkward.
That sounds relatable, but Scott calls it ruinous.
She does, and she's pretty blunt about why. It feels kind in the moment, but she argues it's actually selfish.
Selfish? How is sparing someone's feelings selfish?
Well, think about it. You're prioritizing your comfort, avoiding that awkward conversation over their potential improvement.
I see.
You're basically withholding the truth they need to grow. Scott sees it as neglect. You rob them of the chance to get better, and honestly, you betray their trust later when the problem blows up because it was never addressed.
Okay, that's a harsh truth about being too nice. What about the other side? The boss who has no problem criticizing.
Right, the top left quadrant. That's obnoxious aggression. Low care, high challenge.
The brutally honest type.
Exactly. The manager who thinks telling it like it is, no matter how harsh, is a virtue.
And Scott's take.
She pulls no punches. When you challenge someone without caring personally, you are just being a jerk. Simple as that.
Aha, okay.
Even if the feedback itself is technically correct, the delivery is so poor, so lacking in empathy, that the message just doesn't land. Or worse, it demolishes morale. Brutal honesty, she says, is still brutality.
Got it. So 1 quadrant left, low care, low challenge.
That's manipulative insincerity.
Yeah.
Bottom left. This is basically the most toxic environment.
How so?
It's just dishonest feedback, maybe fake praise or passive-aggressive criticism, usually driven by politics or self-interest, not by reality or genuine care. Think backstabbing, rumors. It creates fear and kills trust completely.
Okay, so those are the pitfalls. Radical candor is the goal, and there's that famous story with Sheryl Sandberg that really nails it.
Oh yeah, the story. It's the classic example. Scott had just given a presentation, apparently a successful one, to the Google founders.
Right.
And Sandberg praised her, but then immediately followed up with, you say a lot. Were you aware? Scott kind of brushed it off.
As you might.
Yeah. But Sandberg didn't drop it. She escalated. She said something like, I can tell I'm not being clear enough. When you say every third word, it makes you sound stupid.
Wow. You sound stupid.
That
is direct. Extremely direct. How is that not just obnoxious aggression? That sounds pretty brutal.
That sounds brutal out of context. But the key, Scott emphasizes, is the relationship. Sandberg had already invested heavily in Scott, built that foundation of caring personally. Scott knew Sandberg wanted her to succeed.
So the trust was already there.
Immense trust. The harshness was perceived as necessary tough love because Scott wasn't hearing the gentle feedback. Sandberg saw the thing as a genuine career obstacle for Scott. It came from a place of deep care, even though the words were hard.
So context and relationship are everything for interpreting that direct challenge.
Absolutely critical. Without the care personally foundation, that comment is just plain obnoxious. With it, it's radical candor.
Okay, so the quadrants give us the why and the what. How about the how? How do we actually do this feedback thing effectively? Scott calls it guidance, right?
Exactly. Not just feedback, but guidance. The word itself suggests helping someone move forward, not just judging them. It's about growth.
It combines praise and criticism.
And Scott makes a pretty bold claim. The fastest way to improve an organization is to teach everyone to give better feedback or better guidance.
Both parts matter. Praise needs to be specific, showing what success looks like. And criticism needs to be clear about what needs to change.
Yes, and for criticism, she lays out some really practical rules. First, be immediate.
Don't wait for the annual review.
Please don't. By then, it's ancient history. Address it quickly, ideally right after it happens when it's still fresh and relevant.
Okay, immediate. What else?
Be specific. Focus on the concrete behavior. Not your attitude is bad, but when you interrupted Sarah in the meeting, it cut off her point. See the difference?
Yeah, one's an attack, the other's an observation about an action.
Precisely. And related to that, she says, be humble. This one can feel a bit counterintuitive for a boss giving correction.
Humble criticism. How does that work?
You frame it as your observation, not as absolute fact. Use phrases like, here's what I saw, or my understanding was, or even, I could be wrong here, but this is how that came across to me.
So it opens the door for dialogue, rather than just shutting it with an accusation.
Exactly. It makes it less about judgment and more about shared understanding and problem solving. You're less likely to trigger defensiveness.
Okay, immediate, specific, humble. And she takes down a classic, doesn't she? The feedback sandwich.
Oh, thank goodness, yes. The old praise, criticism, praise technique. Scott hates it.
Why? People think it softens the blow.
She argues it just feels inauthentic and confusing.
Yeah.
The praise feels forced, the criticism gets lost, or the person just braces for the butt every time they hear something nice.
Yeah, I can see that.
Just be sincere. Deliver praise genuinely when it's due. Deliver criticism clearly and kindly when it's needed. Keep them separate.
Makes sense. Now, this isn't just about managers giving feedback down, is it?
No, absolutely not. Crucially, the leader has to actively solicit criticism first. You have to model receiving candor to make it safe for others to give it.
That's probably the hardest part for a lot of leaders, showing vulnerability.
It really is. Scott suggests a super simple but powerful question to ask your team. What's one thing I could do, or maybe stop doing, that would make it easier to work with me?
Ooh, that's a good one. Puts them on the spot, but in a constructive way.
Right. And when you actually listen and maybe even act on that feedback, you prove it's safe. You build psychological safety. The underlying principle here is just so vital. Clarity is kind, confusion is cruel.
Clarity is kind. I like that.
So once you've got that trust and clear communication flowing.
The next step is understanding the individuals on your team, right? Scott says you can't just manage everyone the same way.
Exactly. Effective leadership has to be personalized. You need to understand what actually motivates each person. It's not just about tasks. It's about helping them find work that aligns with their long-term goals.
And she has a framework for that too, the career conversations. 3 parts.
Yep. First is a life story conversation. It's pretty casual, actually. You ask about their background, what they're proud of, what transitions were meaningful. You're looking for their core values, what drives them deep down.
So getting to know the person behind the job title?
Pretty much. Then step 2 is the dreams conversation. This is about their future aspirations, maybe 5, 10 years out. What does their ideal career look like? What skills do they want to build? Even if their dream job is, running a surf shack somewhere else entirely.
You still need to know that.
You do.
Yeah.
Because step 3, the career action plan, is about connecting their current work to those dreams. How can their role in projects right now help them build the skills or experiences they need for that future, whatever it is?
Okay, so it's about aligning their work with their personal trajectory.
Precisely. And this understanding feeds directly into how you manage their growth day to day, using what Scott calls the rock star versus superstar model.
Ah, yes, I've heard about this one. Explain the difference.
So rock stars think of actual rock, stable, solid are your foundation. They value consistency, mastery, deep expertise in their current role. They deliver excellence reliably.
They're the bedrock of the team.
Totally. And the key management insight here. Often, the best way to support them is to protect them from unwanted change or promotions they don't actually want. Appreciate their stability and depth.
Okay, and superstars.
They're your growth engine, think shooting star. They thrive on change, new challenges, rapid learning, and steep career trajectories. They want advancement.
So for them.
You need to constantly feed them stretch assignments, give them visibility, clear paths for promotion, and you have to accept they might grow out of their role or even the company fairly quickly. That's okay.
And Scott's point is that you need both, right? A team of only superstars would be chaotic, maybe burnout. Only rock stars might lack innovation.
Exactly. It's about balance. And crucially, people aren't fixed in these roles forever. Someone might be a superstar, then have a life change like becoming a parent and shift into needing more stability, becoming more of a rock star for a season.
So the manager needs to be attuned to those shifts.
Constantly, without judgment. As Scott puts it, a great boss helps people grow and also helps them stay great where they are. It's about supporting both modes.
Okay, we've built relationships, we understand motivation. Now, how does the team actually get stuff done together? This is the GSD wheel.
Yeah, the get stuff done wheel. It's Scott's framework for collaborative execution, a continuous cycle. And guess what? Radical candor fuels every single step.
Makes sense. What are the steps?
It starts with listen. Really listen. Create the space for everyone, especially quieter voices or dissenting views, to contribute ideas. Clarify. Make sure everyone understands the ideas being proposed. This is where you prevent misunderstandings before they derail things, like asking, so just to make sure I understand, you're suggesting X.
Okay, listen, clarify. Next comes the potentially noisy part.
Yep, debate. Encourage rigorous, healthy, constructive disagreement. This is where radical candor shines. You need people challenging ideas respectfully, but directly, to find the best path forward. The goal isn't winning. It's getting to the best answer together.
But debate can't go on forever.
Absolutely not. That leads to paralysis. So, the next step is crucial. Decide. Someone needs to make the call.
How do you avoid analysis paralysis here?
Scott emphasizes clarity, often by assigning a DRI, a directly responsible individual. One person owns the decision, and she has a great quote for this stage. Debate is democratic. Decision is autocratic. Both are necessary.
I like that. Give everyone a voice, then have clear ownership for the final call.
Exactly. After the decision is made, you move to persuade.
Yeah.
You need to get everyone, even those who disagree during the debate, to commit to the path forward. Show respect for the debate that happened. Explain the why behind the decision.
Then the actual work happens.
Right. Execute. Clear roles, clear tasks, and importantly, ongoing guidance, immediate feedback to keep things on track.
And the last step closes the loop.
Yes. Learn. Reflect on the process and the outcome. What went well, what didn't? What can we do better next time? This feeds right back into the listen phase for the next cycle.
And the key here is learning without blaming.
Critically important.
Oh, yeah.
When things go wrong, the question isn't whose fault is it, but what can we learn from this? That builds accountability without creating a culture of fear.
So if we pull this all together, what are the core pillars of leading the radical candor way?
I think it boils down to three main things. First, actively build relationships of trust and psychological safety. That's the care personally foundation.
Okay.
Second, guide people effectively, meaning giving both praise and criticism that is kind, clear, specific, and immediate. That's the challenge directly in action.
Makes sense.
And third, build a culture of continuous growth, which means understanding individual dreams and aligning their work and development towards those aspirations.
Cool. And this can't just be one manager's pet project, right? To really work, it needs to be the culture.
Oh, absolutely. It has to be modeled from the top, reinforced in how meetings are run, how decisions are made, how peers interact. It needs to be normalized.
So how does that shift happen?
Scott says culture change really takes hold when caring personally and challenging directly stop being, exceptional acts by a few good managers and start being the expected norm for everyone.
When it's just how things are done.
Exactly. It's not about posters on the wall. It's about consistent behavior, day in, day out. Trust isn't mandated. It's earned through that steady application of empathy and honesty.
Wow. Okay, so that's a pretty comprehensive look at radical candor. We covered the quadrant, the importance of guidance, the rockstar-superstar dynamic, and the GSD wheel for getting things done. It really is a blueprint.
It is. It's a demanding way to lead, honestly, but potentially really rewarding. It requires constant effort and self-awareness.
Definitely. It's not just a technique, it's more like an ongoing practice.
Well said. And maybe a final thought for you to chew on. If radical candor hinges so much on caring personally and building that trust, how do you effectively do that in today's world with remote teams, asynchronous communication, maybe people you rarely, if ever, meet face to face?
Hmm.
Can you truly build that deep personal care and deliver direct challenge effectively purely through digital channels? Or does something fundamental need to adapt?
That is a really relevant question for, well, right now. Something to think about.
Definitely.
All right, that brings us to the end of this deep dive. Thanks so much for joining us. This has been brought to you by BookCast FM, bringing books to life one cast at a time.
It was great digging into this.
We really encourage you to support Kim Scott and dive even deeper by picking up a copy of Radical Candor. It's packed with more stories and practical advice. You'll find the link in the description.
Absolutely worth a read.
Thanks again for listening.
Until next time.
We'll see you on the next deep dive.